we're talking about success, what is success? Success, when you break it down, is understanding the right activities and doing those activities consistently over a long period of time. That's all it is, right? When everyone looks for like the overnight success things, like I'm like, go play lottery. You're never going to do that in real estate. It just is.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here in Neighborhood Loans, and we're back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. We're super excited to announce this guest, as we have tried probably about 100 times to coordinate the time to get to where we're at right now, and I am super excited to announce Gregory. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Super excited, man, and again, it's an honor for you to be here, just period, because you guys have accomplished so many amazing things this year, so we're excited to just impact and unpack every single thing you guys have done this year to be in a position that you're in. So thank you so much.
Wow.
Man. Cheers, man.
Wow.
Cheers to that.
Keep going.
Of course. I think the main thing though, like your story is so amazing to me because, you know, just the build up to where you're at right now is literally the epitome of entrepreneurship. Like you guys have built it to where you're at a point where it's starting to become self-sufficient. Yeah. So I want to hear the whole journey. I know you went Michigan State, right?
Yeah.
You went to Michigan State.
Right.
I did a little background. So Michigan State, and then you were going to be a veterinarian at some point. Right. And all of a sudden, somehow, some ways, everyone tells you once you get in real estate, it sucks you in and then you never get out.
That's right.
So give us a little background story how you get to
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you. Love what you're doing.
Thank
Always,
you,
man. You know, best smile in real estate and lending over here. God, I love it. So yeah, I mean, I went to Michigan State. I had this. I love animals, so I always wanted to be a veterinarian. That's what was like my whole thing. Like I was growing up. And I got into Michigan State, which is like a top 3 vet school. Super excited about it. It's close to home. My parents right outside of Detroit in a small suburb called West Bloomfield. So it was like everything worked out real nice. And then junior year came around, and I was like, I don't really know if I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. And then when I realized, you know, unfortunately, what vets make in regards to like their income, right? Because I was all in the pre-med student classes or whatever. So all my buddies that I was with, right, which I'm still really good buddies with, they've all become like emergency room doctors, surgeons, or whatever. And then like vets are like a tenth of what they make. I mean, not really, but like, you know, it's not great. I've always like money, you know, it does drive you. So I was like, you know what, why don't I just buy a vet clinic in the future if I wanted to, you know, why don't I just kind of create my own business, and then I can always allow my passion. And we've adopted a dog since then or whatever. So that's when we kind of, I turned the corner, you know, late in the game. I was almost done with like, you know, going into vet school basically, but I finished with finance, right? So I finished with finance. I didn't know what I was going to do. I got this opportunity out of college to do real estate in Chicago. I was like, yeah, what the hell? If I mess up, I can just go right back home. Thankfully, I have that kind of like, you know, that safety blanket. And I came out, to Chicago, had the first 6 months were the most difficult 6 months of my entire life. And then after that, I kind of like got my bearings, started to flow. And then within a year of that, I started Vesta.
Oh my gosh, dude. And now you guys have scaled it from zero, obviously. And background. Before you got into the whole Vesta world, what were you doing prior to? I mean, were you at a brokerage at some point, and then you just opened up your own brokerage, or how did that work?
So right out of college, I went to a company that's not actually in business anymore. Okay. And they were exclusively rentals. So I started in 2008, right? So like if you remember 2008, I don't know if you do, but like it wasn't a great time to be in real estate. It was like literally the world's on fire type of time. Yeah. And the best place to be was rentals, because people were still renting. They didn't want to buy. So I didn't feel any of that. Like I was like, what is everyone talking about? Like I'm doing okay. Right. You know, everyone's renting things. And Chicago was like an amazing rental city, because you got paid for first month's rent. It's non-exclusive. It was just a game of who can advertise the most. So I just was like, I was that Craigslist spammer. I was like that guy. I was just like, did it all the time. And then I stacked technology, because the world was starting to become like more integrated. So I actually built a team in India to start posting for me. I was one of the first that did that. And then I started to understand how to basically value my time in a way where I'm like, hey, listen, I'm spending 3 to 4 hours doing these Craigslist ads. What if I just had like my team in India do it? And it was like for pennies on the dollar, I saved all that time. So then I started to become on the phone more. And then my understanding of the whole calculation around real estate, it's like if you're just doing the highest level money making activities, that's where you're focused on, you will make a lot more money. And then my business just exploded from that point forward. So like at that 6-month mark is when I realized how to do it. I started to do it. And then it got to the place where within a year of that, the owners of the company were like asking, what are you doing? How are you doing this so well? So I was like, all right, so I guess I can do this on my own then. Being a 23-year-old punk that's thinking that like, how to start a company or whatever. So my business partner and I, we just, we actually came from the same company, and we just went ahead. We were the number 1 and number 2 brokers at the other company. And, I will tell you, a great salesperson doesn't necessarily make a great business owner. We had to learn a lot in our 16-year history of Vesta here, but one thing we've always just been able to keep our lights on. So we were allowed a lot of failure. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I'm the 25-year-old punk.
Fucking right.
So you're looking at yourself in the past. But I think that's why your story resonates with you so much. Because you kind of see the development and how you've been able to grow and scale the business to where you're at right now. And I do want to hear the failures, because obviously just because you're successful now, all the things and the trials and tribulations that you've gone through has got you to the position that you're in right now. But I want to hear, what are the biggest failures that you had to overcome to get to the point that you're at right now?
I would say, one of the biggest things that we had to learn very early on was like understanding where and what gives you value and what doesn't give you value, right? So we've had partners in the past that weren't necessarily, a great addition to the team when it comes to like the overall buildup of what you're trying to build. Right. So understanding who is in the arena with you and making sure that everybody has a true position. Don't just do it because you like each other. Make sure that on a business level, everybody is a yin and yang of each other. Brad and I, my business partner and I, like we couldn't be any more different when it comes to our business skills. He's amazing with people. Right. I'm not allowed to talk to our brokers because, I'm not. Yeah. Just kidding. But you know what I mean? He does all the coaching. He does all the management. He does all of the oversight. I'm the socialite. Like I go out, I'm on marketing. I'm like recruiting. I'm like, my brain works in a unique way to find new lead sources, like, connecting and whatnot. Brad hates that shit. Right. So like we really combine well. Right. So like understanding, what you need out of your company and the value that you need, and making sure that you partner with the right people is really, really important. And then when it comes to, as a company, I had to understand the value I was offering, because it's not just like, hey, come work for me. It's why come work for me? Right. And can I make you a better broker with me than without me? Because if the answer there is no, then it's not going to be a good fit. So now the only way that I hire somebody is A, I can guarantee their success, and B, I will offer more value to me. No, I will offer them more value than they will offer me, which is, it's a weird concept. And I'm big on leads and lead creation. And the whole thing is like, all I ask for people is for them to have the hardest work ethic, best work ethic, and the best in class attitude. Those things that you cannot teach. And I will give them everything else. I cannot tell them to pick up the phone and call and grind out as hard as my agents do, right? So like all I ask for is effort. I can't pay for effort, right? I can reward effort with the value I give them in regards to deals, and then they will come back and they will be able to give me more deals. So that is how this year we've been able to collectively do so much in business, because I'm supporting brokers with the right mindset, with the right tools and resources, and I'm giving them the correct oversight with Brad's management and coaching to ensure that they're being the best version of broker that they can be.
And I think that's the actual definition of success in my eyes, right? Yeah. Being able to recreate yourself amongst other people's and being able to scale it. And I think one of the most important parts of the journey, obviously, is figuring out how to manage time. Yeah. And I want to know, how long did it truthfully take you to learn the value of time and how to actually manage it? Because that's,
talk to me about it, man. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. Like for me, Here's the biggest moment of, I would say, success growth for me. There was a time in my past where I was like, we were kind of in it and we were doing well. We were probably like a 40 million mark at that point, 50 million mark at that point. And one of my buddies that is really successful was doing dramatically more than me, right? And I was like, oh man, like I was on the phone with him. I was like, man, like you got to be like, I wish I was you. Like, this is amazing. How proud are you of yourself? Whatever. And he was like, fuck pissed. This guy did more than me. And I was like, whoa, like if I'm not finding like, and I'm like constantly like irritated with my success and growth or whatever, and I'm looking up to this guy that's like doing 3x than me, and he's like looking up to the guy looking next to him, right? I'm like, what am I chasing? I'm just chasing an empty dream.
Right.
So that is when I realized that happiness can't be tied to the success of your business. The success of your business can give you more of the things that make you happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then I started to separate. I'm like, all right, I have every right to be happy today, right? So how do I, first off, what makes me happy? And at that point, my wife, we were newly married. I'm like, well, I really, really enjoy spending time with her, right? So like, how can I get more time with her? Because she's always like, like a normal realtor. I'm working on the weekends, at late night hours, whatever. So I was like, how can I now start to get more time with her? Which then naturally made me start to think about how can I start to sparse out my business so that I can get more time with her, which then gave me more time, which made me happier, which made me more successful because I was able to replicate myself. So like, it's like understanding your true why. Because I would say, I don't know, 0.01% of people that sell real estate are actually motivated to sell real estate. And that's the only thing that they want. Everyone's got their own dreams. Yeah. All the things that they want to do, right? What truly makes you happy? Because you have every fucking right to be happy today. But then you use the success in your business to drive you to be better so that you get more of that why. That was the biggest lesson learned for happiness for me.
Right. And that's really important. And that's the reason why I wanted to kind of talk to you today specifically, because being able to scale a business to the point that you have, but also at the same time managing every aspect of life that you have to go through, not only your family, but you also have to manage, I don't know how many exact amount of agents that you guys have, but managing that many personalities and to be able to still continue to scale and grow it, but at the same time still have a life for yourself is a hard thing to do. And that was one of the main things that the owners of my company kind of taught me, like, hey, work your personal life first, then your business comes afterwards. Work off your calendar, do those things. You don't realize how important that advice is until the busier you get and how much more you value time after all these things occurred. But that's what my question to you is. I don't think a lot of people talk about burnout in this job. Right? I think that in this industry, it's a big hustle culture, which a part of me is like, I'm a part of that mindset. And I feel like it's very cliche in the Latino culture where you're like, okay, you can't be tired. You got to just keep working and you're the provider of the household.
Gotta be tough.
But I want to hear that side of the business to where, because now I think we just spoke about it. You grew this team to $300 million in sales, which congratulations to you guys. That's absolutely fucking amazing.
Thank you.
But how much of it had, like, you scaled it and grown it to the point where now you're delegating more than what you have ever. Right. So how much and what point in time was that the turning point, and how did you get to the point where now your agents are producing more than your own personal production, and how good does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, like it's like the truth is, right? Like when people constantly think growth, they always are looking for more. Growth usually comes into place by looking inward and figuring out your personal what's like a good word, like the inefficiencies, right? Your personal inefficiencies. Because the problem is most people, they work really, really hard in this business. They just don't work really smart, right? There's this, like, you're right, like there's this culture of like, if you ain't working, like you're not fucking doing shit. I'm like, if I ain't working, I'm happy. Yeah. Right? Like I'm fucking happy. My phone's not ringing. I'm like, I am on cloud 9, right? I have no intention, none, to be at the office till midnight, working on the weekends, missing my girls' dance recitals. Like, I will fucking quit the moment that I have to do that. Nothing will ever be more important than that, because my why is so damn deep rooted in my happiness. I will go into a tailspin of depression if that would happen, right? That's what was happening to me. I was getting like really depressed as I was getting more successful. I'm like, what the fuck? This is weird. But like, I want to turn your word of burnout to mental health. Okay. There isn't a big enough conversation around mental health in general, especially among men, but also just in general in this real estate business, right? So one of the things that we are so keen on at Vested Preferred is that it's okay to not to be okay, right? It's okay to speak up. It's not weakness, right? Emotional intelligence is one of the biggest driving factors of success. if you can plug into your emotional intelligence, you will control your life better, and you will control negotiations. You will just control the entire system, and you will be more successful. You will be happier. And it's just not being discussed enough because people are so scared to say that they are burnt out or looking for help in this business because there's this like macho culture, right? Our industry, not in our industry, this world in general has become a culture of beta males that pretend to be alphas.
That's true.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
And beta males are very, very insecure humans, right? And the way that they talk and the way they're like, oh yeah, you gotta work hard or whatever. I'm like, bro, like you're not happy, right? Like you pretend to be happy, but like I can see you're not happy. Like I am like I call our best the United Nations. We have every color, breed, sexuality, orientation at Vesta preferred because money's green, baby.
Right. That's it, man.
Yeah. And a majority of my team is female. Why? Not because I'm looking for females, because females understand emotional intelligence more than anybody else comparatively to men, and they can plug in. They just want to be the best version of themselves. They don't want to cut anyone's head off. They just want to look in the mirror and be like, I want to be the best version of you, and I will do whatever it takes, right? Men, for the most part, are like, I'm going to kill anybody around me, whatever. It's like, if you're just looking to be the best version of yourself, that's it. That's all that we're looking for here. And I will support you, and I will give you everything, and it's a safe and cultural environment here. We're still a sales team. We're still fucking vicious here. Right. But we're vicious against our own selves, right? Like, did I truly put my best foot forward there? Like, did I really need to yell at that other agent, right? Like, I'm constantly like tweaking and thinking about how my interactions are going. Right. And I am so in tune with my emotional being that I can immediately self-reflect and be like, Greg, that was stupid. You should call them and apologize. I do that all the time. Right. Well, not all the time. I don't yell all the time, but when I do.
Well, I mean, that's a good point to kind of make, because I think that's something that, within the growth, right? You kind of figure out and you kind of learn a little bit more about yourself. And there was I think it was my mentor was the one that told me this. The more rich you get or the more successful you become, it just pretty much it shines a light on the negative parts about yourself or the parts about your being.
True.
So like if the richer you get, if you're an egotistical person, it's going to come on and flash more because obviously now you have a lot more flashlight and spotlight on you. So in the journey of your growth within the industry, obviously, and the more that you have been able to grow, I want to hear that kind of shifting point, because I know you spoke a little bit about your family, okay? And when you were growing, you kind of were at a certain point where you're like, fuck, I'm not happy. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit deeper into that. Mm-hmm. At what point in time did that click to you? Was it more so a moment with your family, or where was that point in time where it clicked to you, where you wanted to shift your lifestyle and still grow your business?
I was just sick of being not sad, and not depressed, because I don't want to make it seem like, I was like some super depressed dude. I just wasn't happy. I can feel that. I wasn't the fulfillment wasn't there. Yeah. I would keep selling and selling and selling, and I was like doing better and better and better. And it was like, it didn't have meaning. It didn't have purpose anymore. I'm just like, and I like nice things, right? Don't get me wrong. I will be the first one to enjoy, I would like to drive a really nice car, much nicer than I have now, right? All of that stuff. I would like to, right? It's not like I'm not pretending to be I'm some kind of Buddha monk, the real estate agent. But when it was losing purpose and I was buying things and I was like, I didn't feel that. It's empty. I was like an empty buy or whatever. I was like, there's something different here. There's something deep rooted, right? And I guess I was very receptive to figuring out why. And for whatever reason, that conversation, I always refer back to my turning moment, to being self-reflective enough to understand that when I get a life experience of someone I don't ever want to become, to be able to immediately take a 180 turn and being like, I better change this now. I will say, I couldn't be luckier to have Brad as a business partner, because if there's at the core of a human being to be honest to who he is and truly doesn't need money to be happy, he just does it because he loves the thrill of building business and has never wavered on me when it comes to the support that he provides to me, is that is when we write the book with the story of Vesta, the relationship of my business partner and I, Brad and I, is the foundational glue of what Vesta is, and also like my happiness, right? Like my happiness, because he's never changed on me, right? I'm a little bit chameleon, right? Like I've changed here and there, and like I'm a little bit, kind of, waver sometimes on, like the person that I am, and like I've learned to like lean into, more of like just stick to who you are later in life. Brad has just always gotten. He's just always been this happy dude, and I've always like looked up to him. I still do when it comes to like a lot of things, but like that in particular, understanding your true self is so unique. It's so rare that like you can never waver on that guy. I mean, it makes very challenging our conversations. We argue a lot because like I'm always coming in hot and whatever, and he just is like, no, like, and I'm like, God damn it, Brad.
Why don't you change your mind?
So yes, I'm the wife in our relationship. Yeah. I truly am.
No, there you go. At least you recognize it.
Hey, first step. Self-reflection, baby. But I guess that's like a long-winded answer of, I had to grow up, become truly self-reflective, and respect myself enough to want to change.
No, that's awesome. That is an amazing answer. But yeah. I guess another thing I wanted to kind of touch base on is you and Brad's relationship. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I think one of the most important parts about business, when you're growing and scaling it, is obviously knowing the team members that are around you. And the most important one is Brad. Obviously, he's your right hand. How do you read? Like, how do you know that you could truly trust an individual, especially being you're 23 years old, you guys are starting a business. How did you know, like, all right, this guy is the guy that's going to be my right hand in the journey to start the business that you grew right now?
I've made really bad mistakes with relationships in my life. I think that's a question for Brad.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that's I got really, really fucking lucky. Okay. And I'll be the first one to say that. I got really lucky because we've had 2 failed partnerships.
Right. Well, I'll say I feel like I'd fucking suck.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a golden retriever. Like I'm always out.
Red ball?
Friend. Like that's
True.
Me. Every
True.
person I encounter, like I try to look at the most positive version. So that's why I guess my biggest thing is whenever I'm talking to business owners, I want to kind of get a deeper understanding on what your mindset would look like, or when you got burnt, like what were the things that, not to throw shade on the people that it didn't work out, but what were the main things that didn't work out? What did you not read them right? Were you guys not mean eye to eye on some things, or?
Yeah. So like to answer your question on how did like this happen with Brad, it's like asking somebody, how did you know you're going to win that lottery ticket? Seriously, like it's like blind luck in my end. Yeah. We had a really nice conversations. We were really good buddies. We rose to the top of the other company we were at. Like he was everything you would want when it comes to like someone that you want to start a business with. But you don't really know until you like truly get into bed with somebody. And you're like, all right, like, are we going to be able to really jive well? Like if we were both like outgoing personalities, this would have never fit. Like don't get me wrong. Like everyone, whenever it's super annoying. Like whenever Brad and I are in the same room, everyone always wants to talk to Brad because he just is like the stoic dude. Yeah. And I'm just like this, like, like running around jumpy dude that they're just like, I don't like that guy's cracked out of his mind. I get that golden retriever away from me. I want to talk to that guy. Yeah. So, but it's like when it comes to other partners, I've always made it a key element of my growth that I see the initial failure as a huge success if I can figure out why I failed. Right. My first partner was a 6-figure buyout. You could think of it like that, or I saw it as a 6-figure education, right? I went to business school and I learned the best lesson that I could have possibly learned, which was you got to understand the value, the true core value and personalities and traits that somebody brings to the table. And do they mesh well with you, right? Do they truly do they bring strengths to your weaknesses, and do they bring weaknesses to your strengths, right? Because that's the only way that this thing's going to work. Now, my secondary partnership, right? It was very, very good, great start. We created $100 million business together and everything like that. But ultimately, what ended up happening is the business of online leads wasn't where the other partner was really keen on. So it was a very amicable, like, hey, listen, we're going this way, you're going that way. Let's shake hands. We did really, really well together. We still hug each other whenever we see one another. But like, again, it's understanding truly will this, and when you bring on a partner, right? Like that's not like somebody that is a junior, like that is somebody that's equal, has an equal say. Will that say better your thinking, and will you become out with better decisions if they're going to stay in the room? Will they equal your work ethic, all of that stuff? So it's the challenge of finding a relationship that Brad and I have had. I realized 16 years in my business is the most challenging piece of this whole thing, and this whole glue that would have never worked. Vesta would have never been Vesta without Brad, right? They just wouldn't, right? So like, I'll say that.
Right.
So like Brad meets with every agent Monday and Tuesday every week, and he coaches them on their activities, right? When somebody's like, what happened? Like, how did you guys go from where you were at to doubling? We over doubled our business this year, right?
You were at 150 last year?
We were like right around 130, 140. So we like more than doubled. Yeah. And what ended up happening is, so when we're talking about success, what is success? Success, when you break it down, is understanding the right activities and doing those activities consistently over a long period of time. That's all it is, right? When everyone looks for like the overnight success things, like I'm like, go play lottery. You're never going to do that in real estate. It just is. So like we call them MMAs, money-making activities. So we isolate and locate what are the highest level money-making activities that if you do consistently, statistically, we know you're going to get the results. We never focus on results, right? If you come to me and say, Greg, I want to do 10 million in business, I'm like, great. That's 42 calls a day. And then I just focus. Did you do 42 calls today? Because I know if you do 42 unique calls and you connect with them and we monitor you on the CRM, you will hit $10 million. When you hit 35 calls the day before, you're off your mark, right? So like we understand our metrics really, really well. So when Brad meets with everybody on a week by week basis, he can coach them on where specifically in the sales funnel they individually are failing or where they need to get better at. Some people are better on the phone. Some people are better in person. Some people are better behind the scenes. Like you got to figure out where they specifically need their coaching, and Brad just keeps them accountable. So we started this new team about 4 years ago. We started this process 4 years ago. And this is how long it's taken with relentless effort to get us to become exponential growth. All you're seeing this year is you're seeing the hockey stick moment. Right. That's all it is. We didn't do anything different. Right? Everyone's like, what'd you do different? I'm like, that's the whole thing. Success is boring.
Right.
It really is. Like at the end of the day, success is boring. That's why no one, for the most part, is successful.
Right.
Because they just can't keep consistently doing something.
Right.
I always say the gym is very different on January 1 than you are March 1.
You're not lying.
I'm telling you, dude. It's the same principle. It's the same concept.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, like, when I'm speaking to you, I really do see myself in the future in terms of continue to grow, and I look up to and embody a lot of I like to surround myself with individuals who just kind of have that mindset where you're still trying to work. Obviously, your family is your number one priority. That is your purpose, and that's going to drive your business. Every single day that you work, you want to put in 100% effort, because when you get home, you also don't want to tell your family, yeah, I gave myself 20% today. Sorry, you come home, and then all of a sudden you got to work a little bit more because you weren't giving your full effort throughout the entire day. So when I got into the business, I was in exactly kind of like you said, right? Like I interned in the business for about 2 years, 3 years, started scaling, growing. This year, again, we went from 26 to 36 this year. And we're grinding, right? But the main point that I find it hard, and I want for all entrepreneurs out there, that's when you're scaling your business, you're growing it. Yeah. How do you fine tune your business to where you know your numbers, you know the stuff that you have to do, but it's like the day-to-day activities you're trying to figure out on how to continue to scale, but buy back your own time. How did you find the time or like recognize parts of your business to kind of tweak it to, better, navigate your time?
Right. So like as an example, right? Like if you understand, I'll start with this. The most dangerous quote a realtor can say is at the end of the day, they say, I know I was busy, but I don't know what I did today. That is a no-build business. That is, I work hard, I don't work smart. So how do you work smart, right? You quantify your day on the highest level of activities, MMAs, right? So we've done it, and we've created a systematic approach to your day that you need to just focus on your activities off of the goals that you set, understanding how many calls you have to make, however many things you have to do on a daily basis to be able to hit the goals you want to hit. Because statistically, we know what those numbers are, right? Everything is quantifiable. If you want to get X amount of listings for the year, if you want to get X amount of loans, if you want to get X amount of buys, everything is quantifiable on a by day basis because you have to bring it down to a controllable. You cannot control results. You can only control activities. So what are those activities? So for a guy like you, what's the number one producer at your company?
Social media. Oh, who is my number one producer?
No, who's the number one? What like, are you on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
Well, I have a team. Well, I have a girl who's a loan officer, but she's kind of like my assistant in a way. And then I have another team member as well.
So let me ask you in a different way. Okay. Who's like a loan officer that you know that does hella business?
This dude named Greg Iverson. He's our number one to 500 units this year. He's a fucking humongous.
Have you talked to him?
Well, that I met with the owner of my company, and that was the next step. I got to go to Missouri.
Owner of the company does nothing. That's the
owner. No, I went to the owner of the company for this reason to kind of have a conversation of how to scale, how to grow. He's like, okay, go meet. Why don't you meet with the guy? So
this is what you're gonna do when you go meet with him.
Okay.
You say, whatever you got to pay for in regards to his time. I want to understand your operation when it comes to not like your processing or whatever. What are your outbounds? What are the things you do or you did in the past that got you inbounds business, right? The most challenging thing, you need three things to be successful in this game. You need leads, systems, and accountability, right? You seem to be pretty accountable, right? I think you can keep yourself accountable. Do you use a CRM?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you just focus on the activities. So then systematically, right? Kind of two in one, the CRM, as long as you got the good systems to keep you on top of everything in your calls. Number one thing is leads, right? You cannot grow without leads. You cannot do this business without leads. So how do you get leads? In this business, we buy a lot of leads, right? So we have a lot of inbound lead sources for people that are just starting out their business, right? Like understanding, like in understand, like I always talk about realtors, like what kind of realtor does the type of business you want to do, right? Because if you're going to go talk to a real estate broker that does commercial business, but you want to sell residential, okay, great. If you talk to Carrie McCormick, who only does super high end stuff, right? But you want to learn how to be in the 500,000 space, she probably won't be your best realtor to talk to. Right. So who does the most volume in units? And I will go volume in units because that isn't like getting high number in regards to transactions. That's people that are getting a lot of leads in.
Right.
Go in and study them. What are they doing to get leads in? Understand, quantify, right? So then if you can get to understand, like for example, I bet one of the best brokers out there does calls to new agents. Right? Okay, great. That's an MMA. But you want to go even further into it. Now you have to understand how many calls to new brokers will get you a potential one pre-approval. Because I'm assuming once you have your pre-approvals, you understand how many pre-approvals get to a deal, right? So how many calls to brokers will get you to one pre-approval, right? And then it's like, is it 10 calls? Is it 20 calls? Is it 30 calls? Let's say it's 10 calls, right? 10 for one. So if you want to get 10 new pre-approvals a month, it's 100 calls.
Right.
Quantify that by the day. You have 25 calls a week. You have 5 calls a day.
What are your top 3 MMAs?
So I'm not the best one to ask now because I literally only focus on my referral business and growing my business, right? But Brad focuses on, we have a daily, like we have action plans for new leads, how many times you have to call them, right? So it's just a matter of our MMAs is just follow the plan on the CRM. Make sure your day has 0 activities left. And then the thing is, what's beautiful about it, most people think that, they got to work 10, 12 hours a day. You're done in 3 hours, bro. Go fucking fly a kite. I don't know. Go get a massage. Go enjoy your fucking life. You want to get your time back? Understand that what you're spending your time on.
Right.
Most brokers don't know.
Right.
And now if you figure out and you like get your core MMAs done and you want to do more, great. Like I had a broker that says, I'm great at networking. Okay. What's your goal on how many business cards you want to get? They're like, what? It's like, how many business cards you want to get? Because if you're just going to network, you're just going to go look for friends. If you want to make this into a business, you figure out for a networking event, your goal should be start with 5 business cards. And then you take those business cards, put them to your CRM, start dripping on them, see how many people give you a referral over 6 months. Because then if you understand what one person equates to how many referrals you get, then you can start quantifying that as an actual business MMA. Because now you can have a goal. I'm going to go to 3 networking events. Each networking event, I want to get 10 business cards. I'm going to put each business card into this CRM plan, and I'm never going to miss. You see what I'm getting?
No,
yeah. So it's like, It's have purpose behind your activities with an understanding of what activities equate to in regards to value results. Don't focus on the results. Focus on your daily activities, but understand what your activities equate to results at the end of the day. That right there is your golden ticket to success in real estate and mortgage business.
So 6 months is the key indicator of how much or how many things you have to do in order for you to be able
Not
to quantify
particularly,
it? Or how
but
much, what was your timeline? Where you're like, okay, a year, 2 years of straight data where you're like, all right, this is an MMA. Like,
yeah.
what was your
So
timeline?
like, because we have so many brokers constantly doing these MMAs, we get the data almost like in an immediate mindset. So like we understand like, and business is quick here, right? So like when people are looking to buy a house, you can pretty quickly see how many calls it takes to get appointments, how many appointments it takes to get secondary appointments, how many secondary appointments it gets to deals. So because we have quantity of agents that are doing it, we get all of this data that's all tracked and we're understanding trends. So we also know when the market's starting to dip. When all of a sudden more appointments are needed to get deals done, we say, all right, guys, if you want to get your appointments done and you want to hit your goals, now you got to make 2 calls instead of 1, right? So there's not really like a timeline, but the thing is that people give up before they realize what their timeline is. Right. It will always come out because then it's like, if you give it, all right, if you go like, oh, you want to minimally do things for 3 months, right? That's kind of like, that's about the standard like timeline for people making decisions, whatever.
No, that's honestly gold.
It's gold,
it's
man.
gold for people in order for them to be able to scale their business.
Yeah.
But I think one more thing or 2 more questions I want to ask. The number one question that I was recently asked that was like, oh shit, it's a really good question, was what was when you first initially got into this industry? What was the perception that you had when you first got into the business versus your perception of the industry right now where you're sitting?
Yeah, the perception, I still remember it was like so cold coming into Chicago. I just was ready and excited to like sell stuff that it wouldn't be that hard, I guess. Maybe is like probably what everyone thinks is it's like, well, just fucking whatever. Like, I'll dick around and I'll have guidance. That doesn't exist in our business. It doesn't exist. No, it doesn't exist, dude. So like, I think not doing enough research to understand the type of environment I wanted to be in, right? Because I say this all the time. I don't necessarily think the best thing for us was to start Vesta. We just did it out of being 23 and dumb. I don't know, like being hot shots that, didn't really have good consult and we just kind of did it, right? I mean, I was running away from the IRS for 3 years, dude. Right. Like, wasn't great. I mean, obviously we're great now. But like understanding if there's an environment of coaching, accountability, and oversight, right? That's the most important thing, is understanding if like you can find a place that can actually give you, because if you go to like any of these big shops, right, they all have really fancy marketing, right? The thing is, all the brokers that we end up coming here and we accept, which by the way, we have a 3% acceptance rate. So it's like we have a very challenging acceptance rate here too. Yeah. But like everyone it's like, it's always people and I say this all the time. I don't look to make people great. I look for great people in the wrong environment, and then I just put them in the right one and let them flourish. So the great people out there are just in a place where they're just like, I'm hungry and I just don't have nothing to eat. Like I'm just constantly trying. I'm running around. I'm not getting any sort of advice from anybody. All of these brokers are kind of operating on their own islands. They don't want to help me. And the managing broker doesn't know their dick from their ass because usually, sorry. They bleep that shit up. I don't want to get canceled. They don't know shit because they're usually brokers that have failed.
Right.
So they're just like cushion in their like management jobs, like leading sales organizations, but you failed in your business. Like, what are you coaching on? What are you teaching shit? So like looking back at it, it's like understanding the environment that you will flourish in, that you want to be in, understanding the kind of business you want to run, right? And then ultimately going to a place where can help you with those activities and be able to truly coach you and mentor you. Because the only way that everybody here is as successful as they are is because they have Brad as a coach, right? They just do. So it's like, I think like the first 6 months of me being in the business, why I like failed or almost failed was because I had nothing. I had no coaching. I had nobody. I had these 2 guys that just decided to run a rental brokerage shop, and they just were collecting checks and we're adding zero value. I got fired from the first company. Got fired. I got too successful. They fired me.
They fired you because you were
because I got so successful. The guy created a new employment agreement specifically with a more in depth what's it called, non-compete, specifically for me, and then he made everybody sign it, and I was the last one to sign. Well, I was the last one to not sign, and he fired me. That's what happened. That's what happened. So it's
does that drive you?
I mean, I hold grudges.
Yeah,
I do.
But
I think like what was that? What was the quote that I saw? Like, success is the best revenge, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So like I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel very comforted by that. You know, like I don't. I've learned to keep it within my lane, right? I've learned to like. I'm so passionate, dude. Like, and I like, I really don't wear my emotions well, as in like I'm just in your face all the time and whatever. And that's kind of like, you know, why I'm that dude in the office, and everyone appreciates me for that. Last year I was voted most dramatic, if you can tell.
I love it.
But I guess like to bring it in is, now that I kind of see backwards, is like, it is decently easy to be successful in this business, in life in general, right? It's just understanding the formula and giving yourself the grace to fail, and also the timeline to succeed. Because too many people just like, they sputter out of control. And I was that one of those guys. Like, I'm constantly was like, what about this thing? What about that thing? We should do these things. Yeah. And only when I got honed in my energies on the things that we knew were successful, that's when we really took off to the next level.
If I'm being completely transparent, I think that's me. I think squirrel.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Fight, you know, you figured out what's next.
Exactly right.
But, you know, Vince Lombardi, one of the greatest quotes, success is not defined by lack of knowledge nor lack of power. It's by lack of will. You know, if you don't have the drive, the determination to be able to continue to grow, you're not going to grow your business.
That's it.
So at the point that you're at right now, you've scaled, you've done everything, you've done, obviously not everything, but you want to continue to grow. And like you said, in your own words, you're not even close to where you want to be at. How do you stay driven, knowing that you grew to a $300 million team? What drives you to this day to continue to grow, to be the best real estate team in Chicagoland area?
My 3-year-old, 6-year-old in my house, like coming home and just yelling at me, and just having like living their best lives, and me being the least influential person in my household. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a special thing, man. You know, having kids changed my life. It's changed me as a person. Having my incredible wife, right? Like she's everything to me, right? So it's like, truly, and like, I'm not, you know, you ever watch Bluey? Probably don't, because you have kids.
Well, no, I have a daughter.
Oh, you do? Oh, beautiful, dude. That's amazing. How old is she?
1 year old.
The hell yeah, baby girl, dad. Let's fucking go. You're fucked, dude.
I know, right?
But Bluey's dad.
Yeah.
He's a fake dad. There's just, I mean, obviously he's a fake dad, but there's just the dads don't do that. They don't just like constantly like, you're like, yes, I'm irritable, right? Yes, like I yell at my girls for being too loud. Yes, I scream at them for like, you know, leaving Legos around and like not giving a shit about like anything, right? But that's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, it's so like weird to say. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right? Just like being so heated and like having so much passion. And then like my 3-year-old, who is an absolute terrorist, full on like chaos in a little body, right? Comes up and she just comes up and she waddles over. She's like, "I love you, daddy," and like gives me a hug. I'm like,
I can't be fucking mad no more.
I can't. What do you want?
I love you too, man.
They don't know this yet, but it's funny. We took them on a Disney cruise in August. It was awesome. Next level. It was the best. If there's any dads out there that just like, you know, what do we want to do? We just want to be left alone. We want to be told where to go and just give people give the girls the money, right? And just be like, hey, listen, just don't ask me to do anything. No can you statements. Just like I want to be a balloon that they're carrying around with them, that it just follows them around. That's the Disney cruise. That's the Disney cruise. So I say like we're gonna surprise them. We're gonna take them to New Year's as well. And nice. So we're gonna do a New Year's cruise, and I just like, you know, they've worked really hard this year. They've really, you know, they've really made me pull my hair out enough this year, like really deserve another Disney cruise, you know? So it's like shit like that. I can buy a Disney cruise on the whim, right? And it's like I can just go, right? And it's the freedom. I'm not a guy that like watches every penny that I spend, right? If I feel like I want to buy something, I will. And the most like depressing times I would say in my career is when I couldn't do that, right? But I will say, I never, ever lost the belief in myself that I would get there. There's just like that right there is the main differentiating factor of who's got and who doesn't.
That's fucking gangster.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I was running away from the IRS, which I really wasn't, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I was, it wasn't great for a minute.
Yeah.
I always knew we would be where we are.
Right.
I couldn't explain it. I just always knew it. I always believed in it. And that belief alone is in my opinion, good to great.
That's fucking, you took the words out of my fucking mouth, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
man.
it. Last question.
Yeah.
For sure. Last question. So if you had to look in the future, as you know, right now, you said you manifest, you're very big on picturing what the future, what does the future look like for Vesta and yourself? Where do you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
There's only one goal right now. It's the first $1 billion team in Illinois by 2027. Give me 2 years.
That's gangster.
Give me 3 years.
3 years? Okay.
Two-ish years. 2 to 3 years.
Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah. So our goal next year, we're gonna break the number one first goal is no one's ever done 500 million in Illinois. That's our next year's goal. And then from there, it's just once you understand your systems, right? It's not a surprise that we did 300 million this year.
Right.
We just understand our levers and where we input the proper inputs, right? So as long as you understand what you got to put into, now it's just a matter of building the team, not the how. It's now the why, right? So now it's like, did we do all of the specific things that you know we know that if we input, because MMAs work for businesses as well, right? So like we're a Zillow Flex team, right? We understand how to close Zillow business,
Right.
and Zillow wants to grow aggressively with us, right? So now it's like, we don't want to take the full bait now because we might not be ready at this exact moment, but we've understood how to get there, right? And as long as we don't fall off, because we're the number one converting team by far in Illinois, we're the top 30 in the country, right? So as long as we don't stop being top converters, people always come to us to want to convert their business for them, right? And that's the whole thing is like, why am I so singularly focused? It's because I know I have the ability to be like, ball. So if I just focus on being $1 billion team, once we hit that, brother, nothing else fucking matters.
Are you retired at that point?
Nah, it's like we our systems are so good and replicable. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
That's fucking gangster, dude.
That's it, dude. That's it.
Cheers to that, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
man.
really do appreciate your time today, guys. If you guys have not, make sure you take notes on everything that we spoke about. This guy is absolutely amazing. He's amazing at what he does. If you guys have not already, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your post notifications, and take notes on this one. This is a good one. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Let's go, baby.
Let's get it, man.
That's great, dude.